do it. Let's book club it up.
Okay.
Overall reactions, and then go dive a little deeper into like specific parts. Maybe.
Why are you looking at me?
I don't know.
Rachel started off.
Well,
Our fearless leader.
I didn't love the book. I almost feel like the ideas like were good, but it was just not like executed well. Like I kind of like what happened in it. Like that's interesting. I haven't really read a thriller like that, but it just didn't catch my attention. Like I don't know. Like it seemed like all the exciting stuff happened in like 5 chapters, and you spent like 20 chapters hearing about their honeymoon. And you're like, okay, I get it. So that's my overall take.
Nice. I didn't dislike it, but I didn't love it. It's not my new favorite thriller. I gave it 3 stars, which is pretty like middle of the road. I'd still recommend it to people, but it'd have to be like the right person. It wouldn't be like recommended to everybody. Like you have to read this. I like unreliable narrators and plots that go on and on and on and on like that. So I was really drawn in by the first like 3/4 of the book, and then the last like the twist part of the end I really, really hated. Didn't like the way it ended. So.
Okay, well, I did not like it. I guess I didn't hate it. I just didn't really like it that much. It was too absurd for me. Everything was just so unbelievable about it. I didn't like Erin. I just thought she was dumb. And that's my thoughts.
Yeah.
I need you to read your Goodreads review first. I need that to be a thing.
Oh boy.
Okay, it's so funny. Okay, this is actually how I felt the whole time. Because it was, okay, I said, you know when you're having a nightmare that you've killed someone or you've done something illegal, then when you wake up, you're so stressed for 30 seconds trying to figure out if it was real or not. That's how this book made me feel the whole time. You know, just like, it just, because I feel like when you have a dream like that, like it's so bizarre, and then you wake up and you're like, wait, did that actually happen? I just like had that like 30 seconds that you don't know if it was real or not the whole time. Like it was just because everything was so bizarre. Nothing is like, I mean like you could make that into 4 different stories because it just, but it all together, it didn't work for me.
I didn't hate it, but I didn't enjoy it. I did not find any of the characters redeemable. And Erin pissed me off because one minute she'd be like, oh, I don't know, I'm so scared. And then the next minute she's jumping out of a plane. Like,
yeah, okay, I can get behind that, yeah.
She's all over the place. All over the place. So.
I want to talk about how I wish the ending would have happened. So there was like the whole documentary storyline that never really came to fruition. I would have absolutely loved like tied into the ending. So like the twist that actually happened, I wish that it would have been like, oh, you thought that was the ending. And then that third guy who she interviewed who was like helping her along the way, I wish he had been in on it the whole time. So he was directing the husband to do all this, and that's why he consented to doing the documentary. It's because like he was involved this whole time.
Even though he was kind of like telling her like what to do.
Exactly. I would have loved how that would have like tied up and
like
ended.
if he was like manipulating Bo.
Yeah, I kind of thought
That's a good one.
I thought Eddie was in on it. Because like it was just weird to me that like he was being so helpful to her for like not really much in return.
Right.
And I kind of thought he was
The criminal podcast part of me was like, oh, he's a psychopath.
The fact that he was calling her like honey, like oh
Yeah.
honey,
Yeah, like
yeah, darling.
I
he was
just
like manipulating.
Yeah.
Like,
And it was just bizarre, like, it seemed like too convenient. Like, of course, or like it was weird, like, that he sent her champagne on her honeymoon. Like, what, like, that's where I thought maybe he would be connected because, like, he, like, made himself present on her honeymoon or whatever, but it was kind of just pointless.
Yeah.
And then it's like, of course, like, they find this money and then she knows a criminal that can help her get rid of
Right.
diamonds, and like it's like how is that real life? That like you one stumble across all of this, two know a guy that can like help you,
Right.
three like you and your husband basically turn on each other. I don't know. Or it was like weird that at one point when she left that bank, when she deposited the money, like she wanted to run and like never see her husband again, and then like he was trying to do that to her. I don't know. It's interesting.
I didn't really like the documentary like part of it. I wanted to like it, and I wanted it to be something like, I just didn't realize it was gonna be two separate. Like I wanted them all to like intertwine at the end, and so like to me the documentary part was just very, didn't really
Like,
make
why
that
did
much
it put
sense.
such a big thing in there if
Right.
you're not gonna follow through with it?
Yeah, like just the ending of the whole documentary, just or like that was just boring. Like nothing really.
Yeah.
It was literally like Rachel said, like it was convenient. So
Yeah.
she added that third character, Eddie, for it to be convenient so that this stupid main character, Aaron, could have some redemption. I don't know. It didn't end up going anywhere. If it had done anything, even if it didn't wrap up the way I wanted it to, if it had finished that storyline.
And I feel like everything at the end was just like wrapped up in a bow. Like it was all just, it ended just so nicely, you know, like too nice, too convenient.
The fact that she ended up living with one of the convicted felons that she was interviewing too was like, what? Who? Even
How
if you're
that-
desperate, why would you ever?
And
why
again,
would you
like,
trust
oh,
someone?
then convenient that you know someone that's also pregnant and alone, and you have each other.
Yeah.
I don't know. It all seems. It was just like, or right, like it could have been one book about her doing a documentary about criminals, one book about this, one book like it's like it was like too many different stories.
One of the
not fitting.
One of the reviews I said that like it was almost like she had a dream that this is a story she wanted to make, but she didn't have enough material for each one, so she's just like mashed them.
I found it to be one of those things that like I didn't want to read it. I didn't want to get started reading it, but then it's like I didn't want to stop reading it. Like it, you know, because before I knew it, I was like, I thought I had just started, and then I was actually on page 120, and I'm like, okay, like it's not that bad. Like I feel like the reading style itself was good, and I felt like I didn't realize I was like reading so much of the book. You know, I feel like it that was nice about it, but the story itself.
Yeah.
This is her first one, isn't it?
Yeah, so if she wrote another one, I think I'd read it.
I think she is a good writer. It was just like the story itself didn't have a purpose. Like the way, like her words kept me like going, but it was just too many mashed up ideas.
My question is, how did the editor who read that like not help her tie everything up? Like, how did that happen?
Also, I mean, I also felt like I was mindlessly reading it, but like I don't really like books that, like I felt like I would maybe miss a part of it or something like that. You know, I just felt like I was confused sometimes. I would have to like go back and like, were they in the woods or where were they? You know, like I couldn't really follow it as good as I would have hoped.
I don't like when this is just me being cautious, but like when she would like turn on the phone and like do these things like going against like what they had agreed on or like doing risky things, it made me want to shut the book because I'm like, I don't want you to do that. Like I don't like when people are doing risky things that make me anxious. So I would like, it made me stop reading it because I was like, I don't want to know what happens, or like I'm too scared or whatever. So I was like
very anxious.
Yeah, for
Very
sure.
anxious.
Which just shows like the writing is good.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, it evokes the feelings that she wanted to. One of the things that I didn't feel like made any sense was the fact that she'd never shot a gun before, ever, and all of a sudden she shoots a target and hits it the very first time she's ever shot a gun, and she like makes this big deal about like it has kickback and it's gonna hurt and I'm gonna jump back the first time, and the first time she's like, and it was fine.
It was a lot of.
After she spent 5 pages describing just the gun.
It was a lot of build up to nothing, and that's that was my big complaint.
I liked that part. I liked learning like about the gun and about like how to unload and load it. Like I thought that those details actually added something to the book, and then like the flotsam and jetsam, like how she described what those were and the laws behind that. That's something that really intrigues me. So I did like that part of it, where she described things and actually learned something.
Okay.
And that's just me.
I guess it like helps because wasn't her like she kept making a point like her job is to like do research and stuff, so it's like then she would do research kind of like
Yeah.
I don't know, but I didn't love that, but it seemed to just fit her personality or like the character she was describing.
I did like when at like the very end or like toward the end when it is the ending part right before the first scene. So it's like right before she goes to bury him.
Yeah.
I did like how that chapter ended, and it was just like,
And you know
the rest. Like I liked that.
Not, I mean, it obviously wasn't like a romantic novel, but I just didn't like her relationship either. Like it seemed like she was iffy about it the whole time.
Before, yeah.
But then all of a sudden they were like so in love and like connected on their honeymoon. I don't know. I was just like, doesn't seem believable that you guys would like get away with a crime together. Like
Yeah.
it seemed like they were just two different people. I don't know. I didn't like that aspect either.
And his outburst, she wrote it off so fast. She was like, it was probably my fault. He had a stressful day. Like, no, that was pretty violent for something that.
Yeah, that's
small.
it's like it seemed like she always was just dismissive of like his shitty behavior. I didn't know.
We were just, Rachel and I were looking at the end, and did it say, like, how did we know that she knew that Mark was never coming back? Or that, like, because there's that moment when she realizes, oh shit, he's, been trying to, like, do this. But, like, then it all of a sudden, like, it just kind of says, like, and I'm never going to see him again, and, like, all this stuff. And I was kind of like, how did, like, that kind of to me was confusing.
Yeah.
Because I was like, how do you know? Because,
He could have been playing.
right,
Yeah.
right. And so that to me was weird because it was just kind of like a flip, and you were left kind of, how do you know that? Or are you sure? I don't know. That was confusing to me.
Another part I don't think I liked very much was the fact that she kept the baby from him for so long. Like, he never even found out, and she kept saying, and then he won't let me do it. Like, good? Like,
Yeah.
protect the baby that you apparently care about so much. Like,
Right.
I didn't, not that I'm against like a strong, like independent woman, but like to me it seemed like Mark kind of, before like him like going, like betraying her, like seemed like a solid like voice of reason. So it seemed like like in the hotel when he's like, you did what? Like make the connections of how this can come back to you, and actually made her think through like, okay, I was on this camera, I was on this computer. Like it seemed like he like was being logical about it all. So it was like annoying when she would just be like impulsive and like, I don't know.
which again was so different than like other parts of the book where he was just like a completely explosive character. Like, if you're gonna write that into it, at least make it consistent, not just like a one time like.
When she was on when she texted back when she was still on her honeymoon, and then they were like, who is this? And she's like, what? Like, well, how? It's like, duh. Like, they've known these people have been missing. They probably have made the connection. The plane never landed. And, we're flying over open water. Like, they're not dumb.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know. And she was, like, shocked that they wouldn't believe it was the person. Like,
In defense of the unreliable narrator, if she had been smarter and if she told the full story and we knew all the facts, don't you think though that we would have seen too much of the story? I love an unreliable narrator because I feel like it moves.
You mean you would have seen like things coming
Yeah,
sooner?
exactly. Like if she gave away more parts of the story, if she was any smarter, I also feel like if she was smarter, it could have taken a different turn
Right.
too.
yeah, I guess she probably would have seen it coming that Mark was, like, playing her probably.
Or like started at least picking up on it sooner,
Yeah.
like
Wouldn't have been so, like, if she wasn't so flighty and just, like, flying,
unobservant.
yeah.
So I didn't see the ending. I I didn't see that exact scenario, but I think you said you did.
I
What part of the book did you realize?
When she was locked in the hotel room, that's when I realized, like, it's definitely the husband. I just gave a major spoiler, that's fine. And I knew immediately. And then when she was out in the woods and she was still questioning it, like, I was like, oh, whatever. But I thought, and I was telling Jordyn this the other day, I thought it was going to be like, you thought that was the twist.
Mm-hmm.
You thought you caught that because it just felt so obvious to me. I've never guessed a spoiler in a book ever before. Like, this is the very first thriller that I've ever read where I actually, like, knew what was coming, what the ending was going to be. So I really thought there was going to be another, like, additional twist there, because I have read books where I thought I had an ending figured out and I thought it was wrapping up, and then, like, the last page something else happened. I thought it was going to be like that, but it's not happened that way. Let me rewrite the book. I will tie up the ending a little bit better. Oh my gosh, that would actually be kind of a fun way to end this video, is if I wrote, like, an end chapter, like, here's how it should have ended.
Yeah.
Alternate ending.
Yeah.
And Alyssa's perfect for it.
Yeah, I don't even know what I would want the ending to be.
I think it would more so just be like, cut out the documentary part, or like, cut something out. Cut one of the loose ends out and make it. But then, yeah, it's like all those parts where she's only talking about the documentary, the book would be half of what it is.
Right.
It'd be so short.
Well, the purpose, I mean, the three prisoners, I mean, really the only purpose that the other, like, besides Eddie, the other two didn't really have
Yeah.
a place in the story.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was hard to follow, because I couldn't remember which girl was which. And I found myself having to go back to those chapters to, like, figure out which one was which. Like, not that it made a huge, like, difference, but it was just another thing to remember, and it wasn't really, like, pertinent to the story. So I wish that it would have even been interesting if she just was making the documentary on Eddie. It would have been probably better that way. I just thought that the other two were in there for to tie up a loose end at the end, but that's it. I mean, we could have cut that out completely.
The IVF storyline too is so weird.
The whole
Why?
story is weird.
Yeah.
Inserted.
What was her name?
I don't remember.
Alexa or something?
Yeah, Alexa.
Alexa.
Holly and Alexa.
Yeah, Holly and Alexa. Yeah, Alexa. I didn't really understand why.
Yeah.
I thought it was gonna have a maybe bigger part at the end.
Well, and
but
both of their reasons for being in prison were weird. Like, Eddie's was like, okay, he's a criminal, she needs a criminal. But it's like, one was like assisted suicide for her dying mom, and then like burning down a bus or something. Like, I don't know. They didn't
And
really
it-
seem to matter. Like, I don't know.
And with what Eddie was convicted for, I feel like he would have not been released.
yeah, and it was like weird that, like, she would always call Eddie, and
Oh,
he was
that's right.
conveniently
Yeah.
there and ready for a
Right.
phone call, and
Was he
like,
just hanging out?
yeah.
Like, no.
I didn't
that's
like
not how
that.
works.
Right. I didn't like that either. It would have even made it more interesting if that was, like, part of, like, the story, like them having to find a time to, like, talk where, you know, he could actually talk,
Yeah.
and, you know, that
Well,
could have been a good.
Everything's also recorded in a prison. Like,
He had a burner phone. I think the part of that story.
oh
because
my
there-
god, yeah, duh.
Yeah.
There, a little bit of how that was wrapped up was like he was being released, and none of the guards wanted to make enemies with him because he could hurt them if any of that came back. So they were just kind of ignoring everything he was doing,
Right.
which I understand. Like, and I think about how like Pablo Escobar, imagine being on that trial.
Let's tie it in a bow
Yeah.
and make everyone happy. I just didn't like that.
And tying everything in a bow, wrapping everything up is like not what thrillers do. Like
Right.
thrillers are written so it leaves you with a sense
Right.
of uneasiness. That's what I love most about Stephen King. Like, I never like his endings, but that's because they're supposed to be in a way that makes me feel uncomfortable about it. So in a way, they're good endings.
And I feel like it wasn't like, it was like bland, and then every single important thing happened in the last 50 pages or whatever. It was just, it felt rushed, and it just, I didn't, not a fan.
Too many big things.
Yes,
All
yes.
at one point.